with these gentlemen was that your walk or your journey of faith or whatever you want to call it, I haven't come up with a good term. It is a journey. And I've always, for some reason, felt like I could not move into that God life where even if I don't express it, even if I personally wanted to explore it, I felt like I couldn't do X. I couldn't talk to God until I stopped talking to the devil. And I talk to the devil a good bit, so when he talks to me, what I learned on that trip is you just got to make one step closer. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this just a minute ago, is even from a month ago when I did that podcast, I feel like I've made one more step. Just some of my thoughts, I might not even agree with them, I might contradict them. Again, some of the things I say about whether I believe hell exists or whatever, I want to talk a little bit about that today. It's on my list of, not that specifically, but the way, are we watering down Christianity? Or are we actually thinking about it ourselves? Are we actually trying to understand it? Whatever that looks like. So the point is please don't judge me and definitely don't judge these gentlemen. We're trying to have an honest conversation of how we feel, where we got to where we are today, and where we're going. And that way, if you identify with any of it, please comment or like or call and talk about it. If you got an answer to something stupid I said, I'm not offended if you call me and go, well, David, in the Bible it says. So, because these gentlemen do that often at our small group. So, welcome, Mr. Russell Gilliam. That says it right. I practiced 3 times for a guy here. I was like, is it good? And Mr. I'm not going to do it. I was going to say something.
Well, you say it.
No.
Don't say Brent.
I'm not. I wasn't going to say it. I was going to say this is Brett with 2 T's Fowler. Mr. Hair. Mr. Everywhere. Who's number 24?
Willie Mays.
Very nice.
I got it when I went to San Francisco.
Very nice. Yeah. Well, thank y'all for joining me. This is going to be very relaxed. Might be all over the place. We might talk about one thing the whole time. We might talk about everything. Could be 2 hours. Could be 30 minutes. So, how are y'all? Thank y'all.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, I don't know if we start with the funny stuff. No, let's jump right into prayer. Because this is one thing I brought up so many times in this meeting, and it applies to me today. Let's just start with the light, easy stuff. How do you pray? Are you in the closet? Don't make any jokes. You go in the prayer closet? Do you lock it down? Do you, like...
So for me...
What does that look like for you, just in general, the act of it? We'll talk more about the thoughts and what we're asking for and all that in just a second. What does actual prayer look for you?
So for me, it's a constant communication with God. So I'm constantly in communication with Him. I'm constantly in prayer. If you're going more towards, I don't know, the structure of it, we can get into that later.
We're going to define constant. Is that on the way to work, on the way home? Anytime anything pops in my head, I'm talking to God about it.
Pretty much from the time I get up to the time I go to sleep. It's a constant communication. When I'm in the car, I sometimes have 4-hour rides, and it could be just a whole conversation during that ride, or sometimes I'm listening to books and I'll have to pause it for a second. Let's see where this goes. And I'm talking to him about it. I don't know about that right there. What does that have to do with my life? Or where is this taking me next? So for me, it's just a constant communication with him. And it hasn't always been that way, but constant communication, asking for guidance, asking for direction, things like that.
Goals. Wow. Go ahead and tell us how often you pray.
Practice more of that.
You go first and I'll make you look good with my prayer.
For me, it's hard to sit down and pray because I think we're a society now, go, go, go. So my prayers are a lot of the times are just like thoughts. All right, God, just get me through this next couple hours. Might be tackling something at home or for work. I'm like, then I get through that, and then I'm in the car, and it's more thoughts. And then it's time to go to bed, and I probably have about a minute and a half before I lay down, and my eyes are just closing, and my brain shuts off.
A minute and a half, that's pretty good.
Well,
it's not as good as the 18 hours that he prays.
Yeah.
But it's also a minute and 25 seconds longer than I pray.
And it's just reflecting on the day. That minute and a half feels like it goes quick. I just try to keep constant thoughts of not really extended conversations, which I probably should do that. I think that would be better. than just these quick 10-second thoughts. And I think a lot of my prayers too are random stuff. All the time will come up about friends. And man, this reminds me of David. I hope he's doing good. I need to text him. And I don't text.
No.
And I don't reach out and say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Thought of you today. And I think
That's
my
a
prayer.
talent and skill that it's hard. That's not easy. So don't beat yourself up over that. But if you ever get there, just know you're doing so much better than so many people. I have one friend that checks in all the time and it blows me away. Like that they do that.
And it makes you feel bad because you're like, man, I reached out to him, but which is fine. But those little bitty things that remind me of a lot of people. What's he up to? What's she up to? What's he doing today? And then I might go off in a 30-second, oh, well, I wonder if he's doing this today.
I want to get to that. So I'm going to summarize all the topics that I want to hit on about prayer. And then y'all just hit them anywhere you want to, any one of them. One is the ADD. I'll get in the shower, got to start this. And I'm talking about one sentence. Dear God, I want to have this happen, and it's that quick. I tried multiple times, and I've tried literally recently to get more into prayer. So I'm going too deep into it. So that is the ADD of it. How do you stick to it? How do you do it? And then the other is asking for things versus another great thing that I think I've gotten closer to y'all because y'all taught me that prayer not necessarily is just about asking. It's about having a relationship with God. So you want to talk to him as though he's your actual father. Mm-hmm. Just like you're doing in the car. Just like, hey, what's up? How you doing? This is good. And to me, I've internalized that as whatever that looks like for me, it isn't going to be the same. And I stopped trying to behave in the few prayers I've made. And if a joke pops in my head, I'm like, I'm out with it. I'm no God. Oh, I know you ain't going to give me no blue car. Are you? Like, I'm silly with him just like I am. So I've gotten there, right or wrong, y'all can address that. And then the other thing is, are we asking for stuff? Because we believe in free will, we believe that predestination, we believe all these things that really make prayer not make sense. And that's always been my struggle is that, why am I praying for something that God already knows what's going to happen? Why am I praying for something that he's not going to answer because it's already determined all that? So those are things. So bam, go, address them all. Tell them, give me the answers. What's first? What do you want to hit on first? The ADD, since you got it. Let's go there first. You might have an answer, or how do you get back on track? Or I literally don't get back on track.
You said a good thing about, I don't want the blue car. I feel so guilty whenever I say a prayer of, man, I want this. I feel so guilty and so selfish. So it's hard for me to pray about stuff. Even when I was looking for a job, I'm like, all right, I got this. This is a great job. All right, help me get this. And it doesn't happen. And you're just like, man, all right, didn't think that was right. But okay.
I'll take the blue car. Give the car.
That's one thing. I don't know about you guys, but I feel so guilty of just saying, hopefully I get a raise. All right, God, give me this raise. Or, I don't know why. I don't know why it is. I've always wondered that.
So, I'm 100% right there. You know, on the Wednesday night men's group, everybody goes around and say what they want. For my first 20 meetings, I'm not saying anything. I'm like, oh Lord, he's dealing with divorce. Oh my God, there's people with cancer and this, and they're praying. I got nothing to complain about. So I struggle with asking for stuff because I'm like, who am I to ask for more business when there's other people that don't even have a job? And so then I feel guilty about asking for stuff. And I'll answer my own question, but I won't give y'all an opportunity.
So you saying that it's not just about asking for stuff, especially in that group setting. Sometimes it is about the praise. And when we do pray, we are to praise as well. You look at the beginning of the Lord's Prayer, and you're giving out those praises right there in the beginning. And then you're asking for the forgiveness.
Right.
So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for what you want, because he does want us to flourish. And I get where you're coming from, where it doesn't really seem like, what's the point if he already knows? But he wants us to rely on him. And that is the point, is relying on him. He could say, I made you all in my image, and you have to love me. It's no other way. But he wanted us to have that free will. He wanted us to willingly come to him.
I love that. That's what's making me want to start trying to pray. Because I do, you must have said that recently in a meeting or somebody or whatever, so that's got me to more, that makes sense. As a dad, I know my kid wants a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even ask me for it. I want him to tell me, hey, I appreciate the basketball goal you got me last year. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. But I'm 14 now. Can I get the PlayStation?
Yep.
So I get that. If you're going to correlate them to both. Also,
Well, it's like, that's a great point. God doesn't know what you want unless you ask.
right.
So that's a really good. I just now thought of that. So thank you.
Real time.
And again, this is why I really want to do this, because I'm figuring things out, or at least making more steps, just having these conversations, because I'm learning. This is where I am, and I'm fine with y'all saying, well, that's selfish, David. That's ridiculous. Or you don't have to be that harsh. You can go, well, the Bible actually says. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine talking about the whole people going to hell because they did not recognize Christ. The Chinese kid, that his mom's Chinese, even if the white dude with the briefcase and the free soccer ball comes and says, love Jesus, who are they going to listen to? They're going to listen to their mom. And I can't wrap my arms around how that kid is going to hell. And so I wanted this person to agree to me, and she looks at me and goes, you haven't read Revelations. I haven't. She was like, I want to agree with you, but read Revelations. And I was like, oh, dang. So that's next on my list. I'm scared to read it, too.
That's a deep one.
That's scary. And I was like, just to share my ignorance with everybody. Like, that's Old Testament, though. Jesus brought the new covenant. And she goes, it's all right. Like, I mean, my ignorance, that's one of my questions on here. We can come back to this or any point, so let's circle around. When we talk about the Bible, maybe this helps people understand where we're coming from. How much of it have you read? How much of it have you studied? Or are you like me, that you just know the scriptures that you learned in Sunday school and memorized and that you hear over and over in church? Because that's where I am as a baby Christian. I know the ones we've talked about, but I don't know why he said it or what the situation was. And these small groups that I'm going to, y'all, we're diving into that. And holy cow, that happens. And it should be a video, because I'm sure y'all laughing and all that. David, what? So what does that look like for you as far as studying the Bible, reading it, and not just today, maybe it's for the last 6 months, 5 years, whatever. What does that look like in your walk?
I have thoroughly enjoyed the chapters that we read in our men's group way better than the sermons that Andy would do and all that. I loved it. It was good content. But I loved reading actual chapters now in the Bible and actually learning the history of it. Because I did try to listen to the Bible through Audible at one point, and to get through that Genesis and all that, you're just like, I gotta turn this off. It's really hard.
Genesis was fantastic. It's that Exodus, what's the third one that's begotten and all that stuff? That was crazy.
Oh.
I'm skipping to the New Testament. 'Cause I love Genesis. I was like, holy cow, all that happened in one book? I thought that was the whole Old Testament. It's one book of the
That's
Bible. So
one book.
if you hadn't read the Bible, Christian or not, read it as a fictional, or is it non-fictional means fake, right? I'm a really smart guy. That's how I tried to memorize it when I got a test. Fictional means fake. Read it because it's a pretty good story. It's crazy.
I wish we would have done this 3 years ago, Friday, reading chapters, and we would be so far ahead where we are right now. And I would almost recommend any men's group or women's group or couples group that you read the chapters. I think it's way more meaningful than probably just making up questions and just going off the sermon, which is still great. You get good content for that week, but just the history of it.
No, I've been through the Bible. I'm going through it again now with a lot more intent than I did before. And I'm in that dive deep and study phase now. And it's really interesting when you go deeper into it and you start looking at the different translations and breaking down the different words, going to the Greek and the Aramaic and going word by word to see what each different thing means. It brings a broader scope to your mind. And it also brings revelation to things that you could have read 100 times the same thing, and now for whatever reason it clicks.
Well, I think that I've never read the Bible other than these verses. And just over the last, I guess since January 1st, because somebody sent out a read the Bible throughout a year. And I'm not following that because I got kicked out after. But I've gone to different things. I listen to a podcast or whatever, and they'll talk about a book. They'll read a scripture, and I'll go back and I'm going to read that whole chapter or whatever surrounding what they talked about. So I'm doing the peace thing. We'll probably do that for a little while, and then we'll do it in order. But just one comment. The Old Testament is so crazy, it almost created more doubt. Like, I'm like, that's some wild stuff. Like, how these people living to be 800 years old, and this, and the mountain, and the staff, and I'm trying to figure out mentally, why do people think this? How could that be interpreted as, well, it's written as religious, so I'm trying to break down, okay, what really might have happened? And then a lot of times I don't have an answer, so I'm like, well, they were all either real creative or this stuff is real. And I also do believe, I tell my atheist friends who are further behind me, do you believe in aliens? And most people say yes, they're somewhere. Well, how are you going to believe in aliens, but you can't even conceive that there's an actual God or energy or master of the universe? So I encourage anybody that is, what I've told myself, I think somebody might even said something, that you got all these questions, but you're not even reading the Bible. How are you going to doubt stuff and you don't even know what it says? I was like,
The devil knows the Bible better than a lot of us. So you got to be able to fight back with that. You got to know your word in order to respond to those attacks.
well, that's why I love Andy Stanley, because I hate to say he preaches to the unchurched. I think they even use that as a motto. But he referenced so many things in historical reference so that I felt like that's real. He's telling me, I think it's known Jesus existed. So as a kid, I probably thought it's Santa Claus. And then now I started going in, and that probably sounds stupid to a lot of people, but I just thought you either believe in Jesus or you don't. But no, everyone believes in Jesus. Like, Jesus existed, period. It's whether he rose from the dead. We know he died on the cross. We know that he was a prophet and he preached the things that he preached. Do we believe that he turned fish into wine and broke bread? I was joking. He didn't turn the fish into wine. Great. And he fed water and wine. He fed 5,000 people, though. 3 loaves of bread. I got a loaf over there. We would tear it through in a minute. But anyway, we're not talking about that. Where were we? I got distracted.
With the historical stuff.
It is a historical document.
Yeah.
The Bible is the oldest historical document out there.
That's pretty amazing. I was talking to somebody and they were talking about they moved away from the church in college because their professor said the only reason you are of whatever faith you are is because that's where you were born. And I was like, it's very true in a lot of circumstances, but my instant reaction was like, Christianity has spread.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe me, but a lot of people here, and there's a lot of countries that have converted. There's people in Africa that are getting persecuted that we talked about. And so it is spreading to people that weren't just born in that. That's an easy comment for a professor to say when you're sitting in the middle of everyone's Christian, just some version of it. No.
It's hard. It's sometimes when a lot of people do good in this world, bad things happen to them. And I don't get political, but when you have a good faith or a good person, something always bad happens. I don't say always, but it's like then it's like always when good things start going, someone has to stop it, and that tells me this is real.
Yeah,
I believe.
Well, I mean, I forget the guy's name. Eric will know. He knows everything. But the preacher online was talking about. He's like, if you're doing bad stuff, the devil's gonna leave you alone. He don't care. He ain't worried about you. You're over here doing his work. Why is he going to bother with you? It's the people that the closer you're getting to God, the more things you're going to see. And I don't know if that's blanket, because you have people that are getting close to God that end up with cancer. You have people that are doing horrible things that get shot. So that's another kind of blanket statement. But I do agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So there was a situation that I dealt with when I was in my 20s. And it caught up with me a couple of years later. And I had a talk with my pastor at the time. I just started coming back to Christ, and it was one of those times where up and down in my faith, but I was on that upward trend, and then bam, all this hits. And I'll never forget, he said, when you're on the right path is when the devil attacks. And at that moment, I'm like, maybe I am doing this the right way. I made a mistake. He forgives me about it. I'll still have to deal with the consequences of it. But now let me just continue doing what I'm doing.
Right. I love that you said that in the group the other day, because it's different than my example of somebody getting shot that's out there dealing drugs. I mean, that's the world they live in. But when you are moving in the right direction and then something that normally does not happen to you, in what other way that might be, lose a job or whatever, then that can feel like that's the devil's attack, trying to slow you down what you're trying to do. So this is, y'all asked earlier about what I felt like I got out of or learned from my last podcast. And this is the soft part. And you can give me your opinion on, I wrote down the softening of the church. Because I've heard a couple people talking about this, is that I feel like I am trying to mold God around what I want, what I believe, and what I want to do. And shut up. I know that that's maybe not true. Or it's not true, whatever. But I also don't have full trust. I say it in the scripture. I don't have full trust in the interpretation of the scripture is what I'll say. But then that's my struggle from the last one, because I think I voiced all these things about I don't believe hell exists. And then my conversation with a friend is, I don't think that kid's going to hell. And then so you hear about people talking about the church is like, well, they're making the music more bebop-y to get people in, but they're not actually convicting people. And I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know, be known for what you're for. So what's the rub is the question. Is how, are we softening church too much? Or are we relatable and loving everybody, which is what Jesus taught me. So just because you welcome gay people in your church and love on them doesn't mean that you don't believe in whatever the scripture may or may not say. I'm going to leave that out there. Because I don't believe that it's our job to condemn people. I believe it's our job to love them, period. Be known for what you're for. If you love on them, they're going to be attracted to you and want to know, what you got going on? I want some of that. And then when they ask that question, you go, well, here it is. I'm Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's what I'm running with. So, softening of the church, what do we think? That's a hard one, man.
That is a tough one, and I don't believe all churches do it. I do believe some churches have. Overall, I think that a lot of people have tried to conform the word to their, rather than conforming their life to the word.
Yes. Even the people that think that they're the most holy.
Yes.
Are conforming it to what they want to believe and what they want their world to look like. Sorry.
Exactly. I think when we really dig down into the word and see how we're supposed to do things, if you're really studying it, at some point you'll realize that and determine how to adjust for yourself. But I do believe some churches have molded the word to their own interpretation of it and what will fit their life and let them get away with the things that they want to do rather than following the word and knowing, oh, this was wrong. There's no leeway with that. Right. So
that's a good question that you had, because I don't think that what I always hated about Christian faith are the people that were like, well, if you're gay, you're going to hell. And I'm like, I don't necessarily believe that. Because it's, you said earlier, Jesus is love, right? So like, we want to attract people to faith. We should love them. Because they're gay doesn't mean they're going to hell. Yeah. And I think with the church, I think there's back in the day, I guess, the churches of if you drink alcohol, you're going to hell. And I think people are getting away from that, which I think is a good thing. And then we have, what I love about our church is very diverse. I love Andy, but I also love the in-person sermons, and that's different for Southside in general. So, but I don't want to use the word inclusion, right? Because it's some that has that negative connotation. Yeah. But I believe if you showed up for church, you can wear what you want to wear, a hat. Some people may not like that, but I'm not going to judge them. I don't want to wear a hat to church, but that's me. So, but I still love that they're coming to church, right. And that's great. And I believe that love attracts love and attracts hate. And I think that's where I want my faith to, is to love people and get them to come to church. And we may not have to agree on everything, but that doesn't mean we can't all love Jesus.
I love it. There was a TikTok that referenced that the baseball cap thing. And I can't remember the punchline, but it was the guy walked in with his baseball hat, and the guy goes, "You take your hat off in church or you're going to hell." It was obviously an exaggeration. And then he goes, "Oh, so I'm going to hell for that," and I forget the punchline. But it was sometimes I wear a hat to church. Swear to God. just so I want somebody to look at me and judge me. Because I will say something to them like, this hat does not reflect who I am or why I'm here. If you're a traditionalist, then you need to go find, that's awful to say too, because it's everybody's church, but go find a church where everybody wears suits still and all that. Follow your own traditions. I don't know the answer to that, because again, I'm being the same as them. Just because you don't want something in your church, that means I don't like you. That's bad too, so try to learn from that.
Well, that brings up another good point, because I think we're so steeped in tradition with some of our churches and so steeped in ritual that we forget about the actual relationship with God. And you look at the walk of Christ, it wasn't about ritualistic type things. That's what they were trying to get away from.
Right.
You look at all the Pharisees and all that stuff, they had these rituals that they wanted to do, but God sent Jesus to break that mold and break away from that. All he wanted was us to have a relationship with him. Yeah. And I think at some point, just people as a whole have kind of lost their way with that. I think there is a movement starting to get back to that relationship with God, but you still have a huge majority out there that are so steeped in all these traditions that it's like, where's God in this tradition?
And I think that might be, my rebellion is not just pure rebellion. You gotta make me think about why I would do something like that. It's more, if you said that to me, I would want to go, is that really what you're worried about? All the horrible things that are going on in this world, and you are concerned about my baseball hat.
You love, he or she loves God more because they don't wear hats.
It says it in the Bible. Deal with the plank in your own eye first. People are quick to call out stuff for other people and not look at themselves.
Yes.
Human nature.
Very much so. Y'all gotta pick it up because I had a great thought. Now it's gone, so I gotta find it. So, pets in heaven. Are there pets in heaven, Brett?
Yes.
Let's lighten it up.
Absolutely.
There are pets?
My dog is in heaven.
All dogs go to heaven.
All dogs go to heaven.
Don't know about cats, but I'm just kidding.
We know where cats are.
I got cats are in heaven too. But yes, I believe they are a soul, but just a different walk of life. I truly believe that.
So, am I reading the Bible? Something I learned that I never knew is, I guess there's a verse that talks about if I'm married and my wife dies and I remarry and then we're all in heaven, who am I with? Well, how am I going to balance that?
Nobody.
And it addressed that. It says you're not tied to anybody. That is a earthly contract or whatever. We still don't know what that looks like. How old are you when I see you? Is my kid, am I going to remember my kid when he's 8?
Nope.
Or my kid when he's 80? Or, I don't know. And how crowded is it going to be? There's a lot of people.
I think now you're looking at it in a very human, worldly view, but when you look at it from a spiritual view as best you can, it's insurmountable.
And that's why the whole energy, I believe, is, I think we can all close our eyes and have this conversation. It can be pitch black. So in a way, that's kind of the same thing. My physical body doesn't have to be there for me to be able to talk to people in a room, whatever they might look like.
For heaven? Or are you just talking
I'm talking about in heaven, so to wrap your head around, who are you going to go talk to? You go to heaven tomorrow, who are you going to talk to? You going to your third cousin? Forever? Are you going to Abraham Lincoln or whoever?
Everything is anew, so
Wow.
who knows? Everything is anew. What we have here, all this here is just gone.
Everybody can be crowded around Mother Teresa.
We know nothing. Nobody will know her as Mother Teresa. Yeah. It's a whole new thing in heaven.
Yeah. Now that does help me again. It helps me. It keeps me from losing faith. Is Closing Time, the song, which is what my podcast is about. 2 kids in the womb. Are you familiar with the Closing Time?
Oh, the song. Oh, that's about 2 kids in a womb?
Yes.
Oh,
You don't have to go home, but it talks about we're going to go to where we're from. That's what it's used for. But Google it. The guy actually wrote it about, I think he wrote about his kids, but it's amazing. It talks about if 2 kids are inside having a conversation, I don't want to go out there. And the kids, why not? And it's like I can hear them talking. Like I can hear her I forget all of that. I should have wrote that down. But look it up. It's pretty amazing. It talks about, it's 2 kids having a conversation. Then we don't have to leave, but we can't say that. But they're birth. It's all about being born, and they have no idea what the outside looks like. They have no way of conceiving that. They hear the voice of their mother or the voice of their father out there, but they've never seen them, but they believe in them. And they're like, I don't want to leave this place. And that's how we feel like Earth, and this earthly life is pretty cool.
So songwriter Dan Wilson wrote it while expecting his first child, using the concept of being bounced from a bar as a pun for being bounced from the womb.
Interesting.
It's amazing.
I never knew that.
It's really cool to listen to all the words, and it makes me realize that if you're a baby in the womb, you can't conceive it. You've been fed through a tube, and you're going to go out there and then try to eat. Well, you do get nibble. Sorry.
You eat that for a while.
I don't know if they know that or not. It's like a reward for being brave, I guess. I don't know. But
Can I
yes.
can I ask y'all a question on what you think heaven? You had a great idea of what you think heaven is, and I mean I could go first maybe since I asked the question, if you want me to. But
Yeah, I do.
what is your interpretation of what heaven is? And for me, I truly believe it is every part of the universe and the history, especially yourself, and you can see your dad whenever he died, right? You could see your dad as a kid. I believe you could see your whole
All at the same time. We
all
can't see
within
it.
a flash, and I believe we can see all of that with everyone. And we can see the history, and then that's why I believe I believe that we also interchange souls. I think we become dogs. I don't know. It's just far-fetched, but
No, it's not far-fetched.
I truly believe that dogs. That's why dogs have human personalities.
Why they look at
why
you
is there
like
no
that?
dogs the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, every dog acts different. So that's why I believe we all interchange these souls and come as humans or pets or whatever. But you also see the history and future in heaven. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
But
Well-
maybe I want to believe, or
See, and that's the struggle, and that's the softening, that's all that. But in my journey, what I'm talking about with heaven is, or just with all religions going back, is I think the core to all these religions is they're so similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, I don't want to oversimplify about being good, but it's all, the Muslims believe that it's an energy force and that you, I don't know, I'll be even more ignorant if I try to explain it. But then the Buddhists with the reincarnation, but the core of so many religions is all the same, of one higher power and the morality of what we're doing, and I don't know. So I believe that all the religions are right. I just think somehow, and I don't know which one is final. I guess I better believe it's mine. But I believe that they forked off a little bit. They misinterpreted the, was it Buddhist, some guy was in the woods, the light, and they were all seeing the light? I don't know. To discredit that, is that just the same as them discrediting Jesus? I don't know. We won't talk about that just yet.
I just look at heaven as oneness with God. I can't fathom looks or anything like that. I just see it as oneness with Him. His children coming home to Him, being with Him, and everything is good. That's the way I look
more
at it.
like being rather than characteristics of what you look.
I feel like this is really hippie oversimplifying it. But I feel like it's being in one big hug, like you're comfortable, and everything that you love and wanted or knew is around you. We flash a light. But I mean, we don't know. So we're giving ideas of, the point is that we don't know, and there are ideas, and so you can't discredit it. Do more research, read the Bible.
But that's what faith is all about. Because if it was something finite that we could feel and touch and see, how hard would it be to believe in it? Where's the faith in that? And the fact that we do have to rely on that faith to get there, like that's a whole nother chapter right there. I think you sent a message and you were talking about whether religion, and here I go with my squirrel moment, religion is cerebral or emotional.
Yes.
And I think that's where faith comes in, because I don't think you can have one without the other.
I thought about that after I said it. I was like, it can't be cerebral. Cerebral, what I want, I guess that's where I'm lacking. And I had a good friend say this, that I didn't even know he was so religiously intelligent or spiritually intelligent. He's like, that's the gap. I'm trying to make it cerebral. And I'm trying to reconcile the whole Bible and the believing and all that. I'm trying to make it make sense in my head, when I've got to get to the point where I'm going, I believe all of this to be true, and now I've got to have the gap as the faith that gets me across the bridge.
Would that be like you've got to hear what you need to hear?
Right.
I think it's both. I think you have to have both. Whereas the cerebral has the constraints for you. It's that box that you reside in, and it's what makes sense. But then you go to the emotional when what doesn't really make sense, but it's happening anyway, is happening. And that's when the emotional gets in. And I think we're just always in that kind of feedback loop. I think it takes both in order to have the faith. You've got the roadmap in the Bible, which that's where you're gaining that knowledge. That's where you're studying into it. That's where you're getting into all that stuff. And then the emotional side of it is when these things happen in your life. And the only thing that you can go back to is the word to explain it.
And that's what I'm hoping the reading and the scripture and all that is going to give me. I don't know, maybe this is a word of encouragement or something. I just keep looking at, you got these athletes at the top of their game. Those are some pretty cerebral people.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Stanley, Russell Gilliam is much more intelligent than I am.
I don't know about that.
There are some, I keep looking like these people are 100% all in. And they're more intelligent than I am, so that makes me keep digging. That makes me, okay, what am I missing? Because it ain't, I get what I'm trying to say is, it isn't the cerebral thing that's keeping me from believing in God, because these people are smarter than me, and they haven't just proven it with their brains. So clearly there's something that's missing, and I know the answer is that faith part. I'm just trying to figure out, how do I get that faith? How do I not solidify? Because I feel like I'm leaning. I'm leaning over the cliff. It's like I got 1 foot.
Well, that's how we live life, right?
It is.
We do. Well, we always have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it's kind of also saying back and forth. And I think as long as you believe, that's all that matters.
And I think our leadership group talks about that.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I do jump across. I don't think I've jumped for the first time I need to. But I think sometimes maybe we do go across, but then we come back once in a while. And that's that, what does they call it? The gap? What is it called? The valley?
The desert.
That's what
The
they kept
desert.
using. It's like sometimes, as a Christian, you're not always full on 100% all. Sometimes you get into a desert where there's doubts or you're just not acting right or whatever that looks like. Again, just the leadership group, the men's group, the mission trip with you guys has just taught me so much about how it's okay to be where I am. And I try to speak like this. I ain't trying to say I'm right. And I'm fine. If somebody wants to go, David, I want to have a conversation with you because that's maybe how I felt, and this is why I'm 1 step ahead of you. Because this is where I am, and I'm trying to make that next step. And any words of wisdom from anybody would be great. So
It's all about the journey.
it is. And it's funner too. Because again, I felt like I had to be on one side or the other. And now I'm like, well, this is kind of cool because I'm exploring, I'm reading, I'm learning. But also, I have some people that I don't really like the Christian that they are. And they're really Christian. They think they got it, and they are, it ain't about wealth or anything. It's just about the reason that's happening is because you're not living right with that, and you can't say that, and I can't believe you voted this way because of where they are as a Christian. I don't want to be that kind of Christian. And so that's making me question, I do want to be a Christian. How do I figure out?
Don't be them. I think, man, you're David. I don't know any other David or non-David like you. So you're your own Christian. We talked about that desert a few weeks ago, and it's like you go through you take 2 steps forward and 4 steps back, and I just get so mad at myself when I'm just like, those 3 or 4 days, you're just like, this is defeating and frustrating, and I don't want to do this anymore, and this is hard. And that's when I think Russell said it's just when you're trying to grow closer is when you're doing it right, and more things attack you at once, and you're just like, I can't handle this, and I want to quit.
I think the desert plays a really big part in who we are. Because if we didn't have those experiences, we wouldn't be where we are today. I get a question, or I've had the question before, and we've all probably had it, if you could change anything in your life, what would it be? Or what's one regret that you have? And I've gotten to the point where it's like, I don't necessarily regret anything, and I don't think I would change anything. I know I wouldn't change anything, because I would not be where I am right now had one thing changed.
No, I wouldn't have. Eating that whole pack of Oreos at 8. Maybe I wouldn't, but then, are there going to be jobs in heaven? We're going to have a job.
Praise God.
But see, that used to freak me out too. Like I was like, oh, we're going to be like, please, Lord, forgive me for this. But like, I can't imagine if we're all up in heaven, streets that go or whatever. I don't know. I ain't gonna buy nothing, so what do I care what the streets are made out of? And all I'm doing is going, oh, Jesus, like, does that sound like a good day? Does it sound like a good eternity? All we doing is, it sounds like a cheesy Netflix.
We don't know. I don't think it's like that, but
You said
we
it.
don't know.
I don't think you're gonna want for anything.
No, you're definitely not going to want for anything. So here's a question. What's one question, if you could get answered from Jesus, that you would ask him?
Wow. Feel free to jump in, anybody. What would I ask him?
To fix?
Not necessarily fixed, but something you want to know.
Okay.
So for me, one of the questions that I've had is there's that time Jesus grew up and then he disappears for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then he's back on the scene. One of the things I would want to know is, where were you then? What was going on? What happened?
That's what is recorded. Just his birth, or is any of his
His
childhood?
Big kid, right?
It's birth up to maybe early teens, and then he's away, and then he comes back when he's, 33?
So there is scripture on him as a teenager?
Maybe early teens?
I would, not that I want to know when he comes back, but I would want, can I be alive to see that?
But you asking for favors. We just
And well, no, I don't know what
Ooh.
I
Would
don't
you
know.
want to be?
I know where I'm going. I'm going to heaven. But I think because I want to see him. And I know I could see him in heaven, but like I want to see the witness come back. Like I want to see where
I got you.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all got to see him. I'm like, well, I want to see him as a being, but then I'm going to go to heaven. That'd be like, kind of like, that'd be like a little kid. What people like, come on, man.
Again, I say things that my mom would move away, think I'd get struck by lightning. I want to ask, like, why you make it so hard? I want it so bad. I'm fine. I'll wash your feet and all that. I'll do all that. I feel stupid asking for give me that sign. Give me that one thing. Give me that, do I know that it's real or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know how hard I got to crave it. I don't know. Well, what did I miss? Like, did you give me some signs and I missed it? What? I don't know if that's a good question.
Again, I was back to the journey. I think it's all about your journey. I love watching you formulate all these things in the groups that we're in. Just the way you started formulating things and it clicks. And it's just like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you'll say something in a way where it's super simplified. Just like the way we were talking about how we have to rely on the Father. And you made the comment about PlayStation. People need to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beautiful part about your journey is you're able to bring it down to a point of simplification to where anybody can understand it. Anybody listening to this, anybody seeing this would be able to understand where you're coming from with things. Where you have other people out there that are coming out with these dissertations that the average person can't understand, won't even care about understanding. They get 10 words into it and they dismissed it. Where you can come in and say, I want my kid to come and ask me for the PlayStation. It's that simple.
And no one wants it. To change that question, I might ask him why I wasn't. But see, the thing is, like, this is just like a visit. He just visits me one day, right? This ain't in heaven. Because I feel like once I'm in heaven, I'm going to understand this whole journey and path thing.
True.
So
yeah.
I'm answering this from the perspective of if he just popped down and go, what you got? But like, I would want to know why it's so unfair on a mission trip, and you go to these people that have so much faith, and yet they're stuck in poverty, and we're there trying to help, knowing that when we leave, they're still going to be in that poverty. And 20 years from now, they're still... Yeah, but we are making a difference, because we built bathrooms that provided safety for kids and sanitation, and so hopefully it's that next little step in the trajectory is changing, all that stuff. It's not as easy to see when you just go over there.
So here's a way to look at it. They had to be in that position at that time in order for you to be where you are right now on your walk.
That ain't fair to them. I appreciate it.
So nobody said it had to be fair. You look at Job in the Bible.
Oh,
God
man.
said you can do anything to him except kill him.
That's crazy. That was mean. They beat him and strung him up and roped him up.
You can do
Over and over.
whatever you want. Devil, you got free reign. Do
Is
what you
Job
do.
a book in the Bible? It's all about Job?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read that one. Because I am fascinated by that. That's some faith I don't know
Is
anybody
that the one
got
with the
there.
brothers that sold
No,
them
that's the
slavery?
one where no, you're
That's
talking
Joseph.
Joseph.
He interprets
And that's
dreams,
another one.
right? Or which one?
Yeah, Joseph. That's another one.
So
Like,
Joseph is the dream guy?
Joseph
What's
is the
Job
dream.
doing?
Job. So God was trying to set forth. This is a just man. He will not curse me, no matter what you do to him.
Oh, that was when the devil tempted him and said, "Go ahead, go ahead."
Joseph. That's another crazy one, which I think speaks better to what you were talking about. His brother sold him into slavery. Yeah. And he ends up doing stuff for the king. The king's wife tries to tempt him. He doesn't do a thing. He leaves. She still has his jacket in her hands.
And she ratted him out.
And she's like, oh, he tried to have his way with me. And puts him in the jail. And he's there for a long time. He's not just there for a couple of nights. He's there for a long time. He met a baker that was in there. I think it was a baker, cupbearer.
It was Baker.
Baker that was in there and says, remember me.
I feel like it's true. I don't know why. I feel like that's true.
We talked about it on Mondays.
Okay.
We talked about it on Monday mornings. So then he's like, oh, he forgot about me.
That's right.
But he did remember him. A long time later.
That's why I remember. Because he was supposed to right away go tell him, but he didn't. Until 10 years later, 20, whatever. It was long.
It was a long time. But then he faces his own family at the end of that. The same person who sold him is now having to come to him to get food.
There's some good stories. I've been watching The House of David. That's really good.
That's a good one.
Well, context, again, it puts the whole story, and again, I know that they use some personal liberties or whatever.
Creative.
But it still tells the whole story. All I knew was some kid rocked up, but I didn't know until I watched this that, I'm assuming that's true, that Saul, who's the guy that said, you're the next king, you're...
Samuel.
Right. So to know that that whole thing happened, again, sorry that I'm dumb, but that he killed a lion and went to his cave and got it. And then Samuel came and said, you're going to be the king. And then he's like, I'll fight him. You told me I'm the next king. God is with me. I'll fight him. And then he fought him and he won. That was cool how they did it. Because I'm just going, they didn't kill nobody. But when he did that, wow, I was like, dang. Yeah, where'd the other two giants go? They just ran? I mean, I would too. If a little kid killed my brother, but
I'm out.
Yeah.
See y'all later.
Bye.
I don't know. Some of the stories in the Bible are almost unfathomable. But when you put everything together, and whether you go through the Bible chronologically or from front to back or whatever the case may be, it's amazing how it still speaks to our lives right now.
So much.
And I think that's one of the greatest things about it for me is how I can take these old words and apply them to everyday life.
Over 2,000 years later.
Really. My niece said something to me one time. I forget what verse it is, but we were doing something, and she was like, that's a tomorrow problem. And it is in the Bible. Like, don't worry about what you have today. Don't worry about tomorrow. That's a tomorrow problem.
Well, ADD, something good again. You'll come back to me in the middle of the next story, and then I'll derail us again. But let's finish with this, because we could go forever. We're already an hour. All right, have y'all heard, I feel like I have not heard this since I was a child. I've not heard a preach on it. If it's in the Bible, help me out, people. That the whole when we all die, that there's going to be the, what's it called? The rapture.
Mm-hmm.
We all get sucked off. It's from Ghost. If you haven't seen the show, it's good. They get sucked off. They go to wherever. So everybody gets raptured. And then we go to heaven, and God's going to release the devil for 7 years, and there's going to be no God interference. Well, there's none now anyway. And then some people are going to believe, and if you believe, and then after the 7 years, God's going to wipe the earth, and then everyone that's in heaven that was raptured will all go, and we will continue our lives on earth. Make that up? That's what I was trying to keep. You ain't heard nothing like that? Somebody out there help me out. I know my mom. I know. No, this is God. They used to preach that, and my mom just told me that.
I don't know if I've heard that.
Somebody asked. So I'm gonna clip it right here at the end.
I don't know if I heard that. Revelation. Revelations.
All right, we're going to Revelations. It was specific, 7 years. He's going to take everybody off, and the demons will be released, and everybody will just be on their own.
No, it
And
does.
at the end of the 7 years, then you'll have one last chance to choose God. And if you don't, you're in hell forever, and everybody else, he'll wipe the earth, and then we're going to come back to earth and live here happily ever after. So, but that's still don't explain a lot. Streets of Gold.
Where is that in the Bible? That's what I would need to know.
Yeah.
1 Thessalonians 13:21. I like that word. What is a Thessalonian? Anybody know?
Oh,
Is that a person or is it a...
Don't get me to lie.
like a public speaker or
It
something?
was a place.
Or
Well, there were two of them, clearly.
Well,
No, there's three, ain't there? 1st and 2nd Timothy. No, wait. Isn't there 1st and 2nd Thessalonians? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Acts in the book of Romans. 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. I don't know. Whatever. I am losing credibility at every moment. If you too are ignorant about the Bible, you still have hope.
come on.
That is going to be the title of the podcast. Especially when he said, you dumb it down good enough for everybody.
not necessarily dumb it down, but although I think it
You
would
say
be
your
good.
thoughts well, whereas me, I can't say my thoughts well. But you can just say it, and you're like, oh.
I think it would be fun to you pick a particular chapter or book or something to go through, and we all go through it and come back and discuss it. I think that would be cool.
Thessalonians it is?
First,
Because it's in my rhyme, so it's got to be New Testament. I didn't learn a rhyme about the Old Testament, just the New. I didn't master that rhyme. I might have to get into Revelations. That might be scary, but I want to know.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. I've tiptoed into it here and there.
Is
That
it,
is a heavy book.
is it too many big awkward words heavy? Is it
When
too out there in space? Oh, that's crazy. Or depressing? Is
It
too...
can be kind of depressing because when you look at you've got to keep in mind that as a Christian, you're on the good side of this. And that's what you really have to keep in mind. You're on the good side of this. You're one of the ones that's going to be with the Lord. But just looking at everything that is to come and how descriptive it is, it's a bit scary.
How is it to... I always thought, this is my thought as a father. Maybe this is natural, maybe it's horrible. But if I'm standing there at Judgment Day and it's the rapture, and my kid's over here, and God's like, David, you coming, but he's in the bar drinking, he ain't going. I love you, but I'm going with him. That's horrible, I'm sure. But I can't imagine, I'm not leaving my kid. Is there anything you love more than your child? You're supposed to love God more, but are you there?
I think, but so my kids are not grown, but all of our kids are going to be grown, have their own beliefs and thoughts, actions. We can't control that.
Right. As an adult, if my kid chooses a bad path at 25,
But at
that
that
doesn't fit
point-
my example, but...
It would hurt, but I still believe this is where I'm supposed to be. And I think it would be hard. I've tried.
There's got to be no sorrow in heaven, so are you sucked off really quick and you don't even have time to think about it? That's too deep. We don't know the answer to that question.
That's almost a
That's a
whole
good. That's a good. That's probably a whole.
But it's scary. I don't know if those type of things scare me from believing, because then Revelations is tough because it's heavy on the people that aren't going. So then you're thinking about, oh wow, if I start believing, then I gotta feel bad for people. I don't know.
I think somebody scared me with it as a kid, and it just kind of stuck in the back of my head somewhere.
Well, my friend, I was telling you my example of when she told me to read Revelation.
Mhm.
That was the impression I got from her. So, you ain't gonna like it, but you need to get in that book. I was like, oh Lord. So
It's going to be interesting, and this probably won't be till next year on Wednesday nights.
we should do it in the end of the year, the last chapters on
Or even on
New
Mondays.
Year's Eve.
That might be one that we get into on Monday.
That's early.
it. Okay, I ain't going to work today. We'll do a Wednesday night over beer. So Wednesday night is men's group at Lion Creek, both of them, most of the time. Just ask, don't you? But 6:30 at Lion Creek, Fayetteville. 6:30.
7.
6, 7? 7 o'clock at Lion Creek in Fayetteville, 7 o'clock at Lion Creek in Peachtree City, a.m. And I'm sure Southside has others, but they're pretty cool. I like them because they drop in. I'm probably the only one that asks all these stupid questions, So you will not be dumb if you show up, and
There are no stupid
Yeah,
questions.
Only stupid people.
Yeah,
there are some. Don't give me that much leeway. 'Cause
I appreciate what you're doing, though.
well, I appreciate it. It is, hopefully it is not taken as self-serving. It's not a reflection of me because I realize that how lacking I am. I just now hate that I felt like I couldn't even try. I couldn't try to have a relationship with God because I was still wanting to drink beer and I wanted to go to the Georgia game and be obnoxious Georgia fan. And so I thought, well, I can't be a Christian because then people are going to see me at the Georgia game and be like, an example on Facebook, and I still feel bad. I called somebody something ugly on Facebook because they came on my post and it was not supposed to be a political post, and I just got drug in and I said an ugly word. And I thought, ain't nobody reading it. Well, some people read it that I thought you were either one side or the other. Well, if you agree with me, you ain't mad at me for calling that person an ugly word. If you don't agree with me, I don't care because I don't like you anyway because you don't agree with me. What this person enlightened me with is there's people that were in the middle. They're going, dang, I don't care who you are. You don't talk to people like that. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was enough that brought it to my attention that, again, one step closer. That moved me a step closer. It was like, that's no longer allowed because I do want to make more steps in my faith. So that can no longer happen. That cannot happen again. I'm choosing not to be that person anymore. And that's that step. Because I used to love saying, well, I still like saying the F word, but other words, I was fine saying other things to people and thinking I had a pass because I'm just funny Dave. But no, I can no longer be that person because this is who I want to be.
We die to self daily. So it's a constant battle. You have that battle, you have your battle, I have my own battle. Every morning when we wake up, we have to fight that battle of removing that human side of us from certain things and bringing Christ into it. So we're never going to be up there. We're never going to hit that perfection spot. We're always going to be working towards it, and he wants us to rely on him to work towards him.
Right. Because the people that I think are great at being a Christian are not necessarily not failing anywhere. They just have so much grace that comes along with them. They might fail, but they don't ever judge. They're always lifting or whatever. They're just always, it's just a light. You're attracted to them. And so you see people that, great, I don't know where I'm going with that, but there are people that are doing great that I realize aren't as perfect as I might have thought they were, just because they have so much grace and humility and just love for other people. So that outshine anything negative that they might do. And I want that. I don't want my potty mouth to outshine my love of people. So I want to encourage anybody. I would love 1 million people to come on this podcast and have a similar conversation with me. Or if you just want to talk over coffee because you have the same, you might have answers to all my questions, or you might have the same concerns that any of us have. Or if you want to find Brett on prettyhair.com.
BrettsHair.com.
BrettsHair.com. Is it an official domain?
It is.
BrettsHair.com. Sorry.
Oh.
Or Russell. And we'd love to show up at the men's group, or again, I don't mind being challenged because I don't take it as a challenge. I'm doing this because I want the answers. I know I want to take one more step.
Curiosity.
Be curious, not judgmental. Yeah. Unless you wear a red Trump hat, then I'm judging you. Just kidding. That's a joke. I meant an Eminem hat. I'll cut that out. Thank y'all so much.
Keep being curious.
Yes. Let's do this again in, I don't know, realistically, let's say 90 days.
Yeah.
And just see what's different. Because again, I told you from the last one, I saw some holes in my beliefs, or at least some things that I was like, I thought I knew that that's where I stood, but now I'm like, maybe I wasn't right. Maybe I need to do a little more research. So I'd like to see if there's some growth or regression.
90 days it is. We'll be back from Guatemala by then.
Yes. Oh my God, we're gonna talk all the time in Guatemala.
I'm jealous I'm not going.
You can go.
I would love to, but I can't.
El Salvador for Thanksgiving.
Next year. Not this one. The next one.
Let's just go to Savannah and witness to the people in the pubs about like, don't have to cuss. You can drink beer and not have to cuss. Be done for what you're for. All right, thank y'all very much. See you next time. All right, hopefully that's doable.
I've already got to have a send a text.